Hello, and welcome to this English learning video. Today, I will teach you a simple and powerful way to improve your English speaking. It is called the shadowing technique. What is shadowing? Shadowing means you listen to someone speak in English, and then you repeat the words immediately after them. Try to copy the voice, the speed, and the emotion of the speaker. You become like their shadow. That's why it's called shadowing. This method helps you speak more clearly, understand English better, and feel more confident when talking to others. Now, I want to tell you a short and simple story, but this time, you will practice shadowing with me. The story is called The Surprise Phone Call. It is told by a man, and he is also the main character. You will listen, repeat, and shadow each sentence. This is a great way to train your brain and your mouth to speak better English. Are you ready? Let's begin. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you can get more shadowing stories to practice English. Headphone the surprise phone call, shadowing story. My name is Daniel. I'm 26 years old, and I live in a small apartment in a big city. I work as a delivery driver for a local company. Every morning, I wake up around 6 a.m., make a cup of coffee, and eat something simple like toast with peanut butter. Then I check my route for the day, grab my jacket, and head out with my van. I actually like my job because I get to drive around, listen to music or podcasts, and meet different kinds of people. Sometimes it's stressful when traffic is bad or when people get angry about late deliveries, but most of the time, it's peaceful. Last Friday started just like any other day. The sky was gray, and it looked like it might rain. I got into my van and turned on the radio. I had 10 packages to deliver before noon. Everything was going fine until around 10:30 when my phone rang. The screen said unknown number. Normally, I don't answer those calls, but something told me to pick up. I pulled over to the side of the road and answered. Hello. A woman's voice responded. Daniel? I said, yes, who's this? There was a short pause. Then she said, my name is Laura. I think I found something that belongs to you, or maybe to your family. At first, I thought it was a scam. I stayed quiet. Then she said, this might sound strange, but I found a notebook in an old secondhand bookstore. It had some letters inside, and one of them mentioned your name. It said, give this to my son Daniel, if I never return. My heart skipped a beat. I asked her slowly, what was the name of the person who wrote the letter? She replied, Thomas. Thomas Reed. I felt a cold wave move through my body. That was my father's name. He died when I was just a baby. I never met him. My mother rarely talked about him, and I didn't have any pictures of him. Just a name and a few stories. Laura explained that she was a teacher, and she liked to visit secondhand bookstores to find old books and journals. A few days ago, she picked up a box of old notebooks from a small shop downtown. One of them was full of handwritten letters. Some were to my mom. Some were just journal entries. But one was written to me, and that's how she found my name. She apologized for reading the letters, but she said she felt like they needed to reach me. I didn't know what to say. My hands were shaking a little. I asked her if we could meet. She agreed. We decided to meet at a cafe near Central Station at 4 o'clock. The rest of the day was a blur. I finished my deliveries, but my mind wasn't focused. I kept thinking about the notebook. Was it really for my dad? Could it be some kind of mistake? But deep inside, I felt it was real. It was like something was pulling me to go. I arrived at the cafe early. I sat near the window and ordered a coffee. At exactly 4, a woman walked in holding a brown notebook. She looked around, saw me, and walked over. She was in her 30s, with dark hair and kind eyes. "Daniel?" she asked. I nodded. She smiled and sat down across from me. She placed the notebook gently on the table. It looked old, but well kept. The cover was soft leather, and the pages were yellowed with time. She opened it and showed me the first page. It said, "To my son, Daniel. If I never get the chance to know you, I hope these words help you understand me." I stared at the page. My father's name was signed at the bottom. I recognized the handwriting from an old document I had seen once when I was a teenager. I looked at Laura and said, "This is real." She nodded and said, "I think he wanted you to find this." I started reading the letters. One was written a few days before I was born. My father wrote about how excited he was to meet me. He said he was scared too. He didn't know if he'd be a good father. Another letter talked about his past, about mistakes he had made, about leaving his hometown and trying to start a new life with my mom. There were happy entries too. Stories about the first time he felt me kick in my mother's belly. A letter describing the day he bought a little blue hat for me and hid it in the closet as a surprise. But there were also sad letters. He wrote about money problems, fights, and fear. One letter said, "If I don't make it back, please tell Daniel I loved him every single day." I felt my throat close. I couldn't speak. Laura gave me time. She just sat with her hands folded, sipping her tea. I turned a few more pages. There was a photo. It showed a man standing in front of a lake, smiling with a fishing rod in his hands. On the back, it said, "Summer 1997. Thinking about the future." That evening, I walked home with a notebook pressed against my chest. It was raining lightly, but I didn't care. That night, I stayed up reading every word. I cried. I laughed. I imagined the kind of man my father was. I had always felt a hole in my life, a space where a father should be. And now, somehow, that space didn't feel so empty anymore. The next day, I called my mother. I told her about the notebook. She was quiet at first, then she said softly, "I hoped one day you'd find something like that. I kept some things too. Maybe it's time to show you." That weekend, I went to visit her. She brought out a box from the top of her closet. Inside were more letters, a few photos, and even a small cassette tape. We listened to it together. It was a recording of my father singing a lullaby. His voice was warm and deep. I closed my eyes and imagined him holding me. Since then, a lot has changed in my life. I started writing more. I began taking night classes because I want to become a counselor, someone who helps others find healing, just like I did. I also keep in touch with Laura. We've become good friends. She says she believes everything happens for a reason. I think she might be right. So, if you ever get a phone call from an unknown number, maybe don't ignore it. You never know what door it might open. For me, that call gave me back a piece of my story, a voice from the past that helped me move forward, a connection I never thought I'd have. Now that you've heard the full story, it's time to make this moment really count. You didn't just listen to a story, you've connected with a full experience in English. You followed a character, felt emotions, imagined scenes, and most importantly, you understood the message. That's already a powerful way to learn. But now, you can take it one step further and truly improve your English speaking with shadowing. Shadowing is not about repeating words like a robot. It's about feeling the language. It's about training your mouth, your ears, and your mind to work together. It's about building confidence. Here's how to shadow this story and make the most of it. First, watch this video again from the beginning. But this time, Pause after each sentence. Listen carefully. Then repeat the sentence out loud, trying to copy my voice, my tone, and my rhythm. Second, focus on emotion and flow. Don't worry if your pronunciation is not perfect. Just speak with feeling. Try to sound natural, like you're the one telling the story. Third, record yourself. Yes, it might feel strange, but it's one of the best ways to improve. Play it back. Compare your voice to mine. Notice what sounds good and what you want to improve. Fourth, repeat. Do it every day for a week. The same story, the same lines. Why? Because repetition creates fluency. Just like learning a song, the more you hear it and say it, the more natural it becomes. And finally, try telling the story in your own words. Don't memorize. Just retell it. This is where your English becomes personal. You're not just copying. You're using English to express yourself. The goal is not perfection. The goal is progress. Each time you shadow this story, you are getting closer to natural English. Closer to confidence. Closer to speaking without fear. You might be thinking, can this really help me? Yes, absolutely. Because language isn't something you learn once and forget. It's something you live, you feel, you repeat, you practice. And stories, like this one, help you connect emotionally. When you connect, you remember. When you remember, you speak better. So now I invite you. Don't just move on to the next video. Practice this one. Use it. Make it your own. You don't need hours. You just need consistency. 10 minutes a day with this story can truly improve your English. And if you liked this story and want more to practice with, backhand index pointing right, give this video a like. Backhand index pointing right and subscribe to the channel. Because many more shadowing stories are coming your way soon. Thank you for learning with me. Stay curious, stay brave, and never stop growing your English. See you in the next video.